So, hi, welcome to field day. Usually happens a little more in the flesh, but we're going to do a crazy thing today. This is going to be really fun. So, my name is Leyna Lightman, and do you guys want to say your names?
I'm Bekki Siemens.
Hi, I'm Nathaniel Siemens.
So you guys are going to have to speak up for us and maybe wave your hand or use the chat feature if you can't hear us, because we're learning. I have never in my damn life seen anyone do a Zoom from a combine before. So this is going to be a whole learning curve. Welcome to our harvest. I do want to tell you that a really seasoned Zoomer by now, but if you're not, there is a chat feature and it's really helpful. So we would love to kind of speak to you individually, but what's going to help us out a lot is if you put questions in the chat. And also we'd love if folks could maybe all go into their chat right now and test it out and tell us where you are in the world and what brings you to this day. So I happen to know we have at least one person in Australia who woke up at 6:30 to join us. So I want to see the list.
Yeah, thank you, Australia.
Hey, Bay Area, what up? And on that note, I am going to send everyone an email after the event, inviting you to either opt in or out of sharing your contact information, because in normal years, when we have a regular harvest day, half the beauty is that people from all different parts of the grain world get to meet each other and connect and share resources. So I'm going to do my best to help facilitate that electronically after the fact. Okay, so I am a grain nerd and activist in California. And I collaborate with all sorts of farmers. Nate and Bekki are two of my favorite partners in crime in California. And we're trying to do work expanding markets for heritage grain and small scale grain in our state. And so today, this is going to be an experience in an oat field, and I'm going to let Nate and Bekki talk a little bit about it more. I'm kind of your MC today, and actually I'll probably mainly be behind the camera. But we're in a field today, and the idea is to help give you a window into harvest and to help everyone connect to each other. Oh, Nancy and Gerardo, hi. Help everyone connect to each other and exchange wisdom. So if I'm doing a half decent job, actually, I'm going to try and get out of the way of the dialogue, but we're going to take these first few minutes kind of to set everything up. Nate, I might need to give you my earbuds, actually. Sorry, I need to give you my earbuds so you can talk over.
So I can hear.
Yeah, otherwise. There you go. Oops.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to sunny Camarillo. So we're out in on a Rodale field. Rodale Institute is newly situated in the Camarillo Plains, and we've got a wonderful cover crop, a polycrop. So there's multiple species that were planted out here. Just for a little bit bigger picture, this is generally some of the highest ag rent space in the world. Probably it goes for around $4,000 per acre per year. So if you can imagine making money off of that, then you're a very creative person. Come on and give us a hand out here. So the Rodale was generously given use of this land. It's on Phil McGrath's property. McGrath Farms has been here for generations, for I think over 100 years, and we're really lucky to be here. And they planted this cover crop for us. We started up, myself and Ariana, who I'll introduce in just a few moments, started up a couple months ago, and we've been starting up some fun organic trials to see what are the benefits of soil health on increased nutritional value and increased growing capacity on organic farms. So anyway, So today's, we're harvesting oats. We're actually harvesting 3 separate things. This is a polycrop. The field was planted in oats, peas, and beans. So when we harvest, we're actually going to be harvesting all 3 of those. Obviously, most people don't use all 3 of those together, but too bad. You're going to have to figure out how to. No, the machine separates them out to a certain extent. And, hopefully people will start to figure out how to use more blended crops. And we think that there's a lot of potential there. All of our ancestors used to eat potential crops. Every single one of you, I see all of you guys, and every one of your grandparents ate, maybe great grandparents ate a blended stuff like this, because, these combines are a fairly modern invention. Before that, if you had a field that was mixed, you just ate what was there. So,
Can you tell why it's good to polycrop?
Yeah, so Leyna asked why it's good to polycrop. There's a lot of, not just because, it's easy for me to plant a bunch of stuff out there. It's easy for a farmer to just, throw whatever in the bag out into the field. But also because the diversity of plants that we see is reflected on in the diversity of soil bacteria, so the soil biome. So out here in particular, we've got grains, that's our oats, and we've got a couple different legumes. We could be much more diverse than that, but the legumes are famous for supplying nitrogen out to a field. So they have a symbiotic relationship with soil bacteria that actually fixes nitrogen from the air into a form that the plants can use, and that will grow wonderful vegetables for us. And that's reflected out. That's just one small piece of the equation. There's lots of other benefits, like if you've got multiple species in the ground, then a pest is less likely to eat your crop, or maybe even more importantly, a beneficial insect might be attracted to one of those plants, and then can defend your whole field from any pests and things like that. It also, crop rotations are an important piece of any farming equation, and this effectively puts all of your rotations into one spot together. Essentially, it's a form of biomimicry, and we're just trying to copy what nature already does and does well. So,
I'm gonna try a thing. I'm gonna try doing this.
Go for it.
You guys still hear us okay?
Yep.
Kind of. Volume is up there. Okay, hang on a second. You gotta find a Malcolm! Okay. Can you guys talk to us again? Someone say something. Massa, say something. Okay, that might be your problem. I don't hear anything. Someone else say something. Kathy, say something.
Hey, hello, you two, you 3.
Yay! Okay, cool. That's better. We're gonna try this, but one of you guys just kindly wave us down if you can't hear us well, because the headphones are gonna help you hear us better. But we're multiple people.
Maybe so. Kathy can be our because probably there's a whole bunch of people
Kathy.
Who can't see. Can you be the?
You be our sound monitor. We just appointed a sound monitor. New Zoom role. Okay, cool. Sorry, Nate. So you were talking about polycropping. Now, actually, now that we can do sounds better, does anyone have any questions about polycropping? Because it's kind of a dense but awesome idea. Like, what are you gonna do with beans and oats together or whatever? Use your voice. I know I said use the chat, but we're learning all kinds of things here. Kelly Brennan! That's my best friend from the 5th grade. All right. No one has polycrop questions. All right. Do you want to say something about uniforms, what you guys do?
Sure. Bekki.
No, thank you, Marguerite.
Sorry.
We farm grain, mostly wheat and rye, and have animals and trees. Yeah. They have 5 children.
Okay, we farm children.
They farm children. It was very wise because they save a lot on labor.
Right. Sometimes.
And I will say something about the combine we're using today, which I'm learning. I am not a farmer. I'm just a farm groupie or something. And what I'm learning is actually modern harvesting is a lot about driving a combine around in circles. And it's also, sorry about the plane. It's also about getting the combine to work first. Oh, yes. Okay. So the first, let me back up and say that this is a '69 John Deere, and it's very interesting and exciting because this is a piece of equipment that Nate bought for a song from a grain farmer from TNA Farms. And do you want to say what's cool about this combine and why you bought it?
Yeah, so we got this combine to use as the first piece of a equipment share. So it's going to be a collective combine. It's lots of young farmers. The impediment for grain farming is that the combines cost a lot of money. So Adam, the previous owner of this machine, was generous enough to give us a steep discount on it, with the intention of us utilizing it for a shared piece of equipment. So hopefully we'll get some other shared equipment over the years too. But this is the first piece, the starting one. So.
And actually, on that topic, will you? And I know I told you use the chat, but actually, will people who are farmers maybe interrupt me, because then we have to scroll. Do we have any farmers on this call? Somebody talk to me who's a farmer. Unmute yourself. I'm looking for your names. Monica Spiller, you're kind of a farmer. All right. But if anyone does chime in as we get going here as a farmer, we'd love to hear feedback from you, especially on what we're doing, but also on this topic of sharing equipment. This is a conversation that we're hoping to kind of plant that a little bit today, but some of us in the farming community in California have been talking about it a lot and are planning to do more virtual meetings, inviting a lot of folks in this sector to this, to the sharing conversation. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have Nate take us on like a tour of the combine, so you guys can see the different parts of it. But before we do that, I'm gonna pause again and give you a second to unmute yourself and hope that. So, hi, Claudia Carter. That's the director of the Wheat Commission. If you have questions for each other too, like I'm kind of calling people out and hoping that that dialogue is really welcome in this Zoom. So that's why we didn't do it as a webinar. I specifically made sure that everyone's got their own like Brady Bunch square, so that you guys have the opportunity to also speak to each other and not just us talking at you. Okay. So I'm gonna give space a second for questions. Kathy, I saw you put a question in the chat. Will you ask it verbally? Sound monitor. Unmute yourself. I have you all muted, and please stay muted when you're not speaking, and just take the ability for unmuting yourself if you want to say something.
Yes, Zoom suggested holding down the space bar would work. I guess it didn't. I was wondering what you have in this field along with the oats. I mean, specifically, I know it's a bio crop. And then what is the variety of oats?
Good question. Ariana, we want to talk about the oats. Do you want to talk to us about the oats? Yeah, all right, what else is in here with the oats?
Our shy science, our research director doesn't want to answer the question, so I'll answer it for you. It's we're also putting in some trials with peppers of a mulch trial. So we're going to try 3 different types of living mulch to see what their weed control capacity is. So we'll try out a couple different clovers, as well as Carapia, which is a low surface covering, a ground cover, and then a plastic mulch, which is kind of industry standard. So peppers is one thing. Pumpkins is going right where we're standing. Like Leyna said, that's a trial of no-till versus till. So that if you could see the ground, and you probably just turn
Actually, I'm going to relieve our iPad holder. So just hang on. You think of more questions like, oh, that's my face. Where's the flip? There we go. All right, guys. Okay. Go ahead, Nate.
Okay,
Poor Marguerite. We just broke her arm.
So this is our ground cover right here. It's about 6 to 9 inches deep. So yeah, this is just the oats and the
Wow.
cover crop, the oats and peas and
Cool.
stuff, the part that we've already harvested. All this stuff right here is going to provide a mulch and a water retention and weed control, and hopefully when we plant pumpkins into it, then they'll be happy and we won't have to do too much work with the tractors. Stand up.
Voice
Louder.
louder.
Louder. So that's what we're testing. The other side of the field, which we can walk around the combine over here and see some guys working on setting up sprinkler pipe. Actually, this is kind of a good view of the rest of the field anyway. So all the sprinkler pipe that these guys are setting up over here is for the other side of the pumpkin experiment. And past that, before the palm trees, is going to be just a vegetable crop that's farmed by Abundant Table. They're leasing out from us for about the next year while we grow into this space. And they do wonderful, wonderful work with the community and a whole, an amazing array of organic vegetables. So they're great stuff.
Aislinn or Ashlyn, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, feel free to jump in and correct me, was just saying the walkthrough is helpful.
Yeah.
So thank you for that feedback. So let's show you where you are.
Okay, so we're looking straight straight east towards Camarillo proper. And those guys out there are some friends of ours. They're, like I said, they're with Abundant Table and with McGrath Farms. They're setting up some sprinkler pipe. They spelled me for the afternoon. If we kind of turn around towards the south now, right in back of me, this is Ryder Farms. I'm going to pull this off since there's no one within 6 feet of me. So there's a bunch of...
Yeah, we're having to negotiate not only doing Zoom in a field, but like we're not quarantined together, so we're trying to figure out like when to mask and unmask guys.
Right.
Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, there's a lot of balancing going on here, as is there on all of your lives. So right in back of me is some blackberries. So Ryder Brothers is one of the largest. Maybe I'm not supposed to say their name. Is that legal even? I don't know. Anyway, there's a blackberry operation here. Someone, I don't know who it is, and they've got a bunch of wonderful, delicious blackberries that I don't eat very much of. Sorry. All right, and over here to the west.
What's all that shrinkage on our accounting sheet this year? Those Nate's demons.
Hey, I'm hungry. Come on, I work hard. So straight to the west, we have all the brains of the operation, Bekki and Ariana and Marguerite.
She's a geneticist. Yeah. Smart lady.
Yeah. And that's on the back side over there is where we're doing the trial of the mulch trial, the living mulch trial. So with the peppers.
Cool.
And then
hang on, I'm gonna pause you. Ian, you're asking, how do you get seed into the ground through the mulch in a no-till situation? Nice.
That's a damn good question.
Damn good.
So we're just going to be doing this by hand. So it's a very small trial. If we were doing something more than like a half acre or so, we would have to have a machine for that. There are machines called no-till planters or no-till drills. In this case, we would use a no-till planter. The difference between a planter and a drill is how many rows they make at one time. So in case of a no-till planter, and for pumpkins, it would be very wide spacing, like 60 inches or maybe even like 6 or 8 feet between rows. In a drill case, it's only a few inches between them. And what makes it a no-till is its ability to cut through this heavy residue, these mulch layers, and also to cut into harder earth in a traditional tilled environment like we've got like they're setting up over here. It'll be irrigated, it'll be disked, so it'll be very light, it'll be broken down, and the seed bed will be very even and flat, so the tillage device doesn't have to have the ability to cut through almost anything, basically. It just kind of opens up the dirt and drops the seed and closes it back up.
Nice. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Give you guys a second because I know the unmuting takes a minute. Thanks. Okay, so Ian, the chat's working well, guys. Thanks. Do you have an estimate on water demand for living mulch?
Ooh, that's a great question. I wish Ariana would walk over here.
Hey, Ariana, we have a question. Come closer. You don't have to come on.
You can stay in the background. You can hide. There's a question of how much water difference, what are water irrigation expectations living mulch? If we'll have some gain or loss, or what we're expecting there.
The clover, I'm not sure. We need to try it. For the kurapia, that is this Japanese grass that we want to try, it should be drought resistant. So once we have it established, I would not water at all and see how it performs.
Thank you. Nice. Are there more questions? Okay. So Nate, do you want to take us on a little tour?
Yeah, good.
Are you guys doing okay with like the piping rattling behind us? Can you hear us? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay, we're okay. Someone just holler if we're loose. Let's go around this side for the tour first.
Okay. Well, let's start in front right here.
Okay, cool.
So this is a reel right here. This is a pickup reel. This is a bunch of teeth on here that will scoop whatever's on the ground or whatever's whatever your crop is that you're trying to harvest. So kind of scoop it into the mouth of the machine here, the maw. So that's not what it's usually called, I don't think. At any rate, this is kind of the first piece of equipment that the crop would encounter at the beginning of the machine. So this thing kind of spins around like that. And then the kind of where the action starts at in earnest is right here on these teeth. This is called a sickle bar. It's going to be kind of, we're going to have to climb in here to see it very well. But
Thank you.
so these teeth right here, if you can see them, should be sharp. Ours are pretty sharp, and that's what actually makes the cut. They slide back and forth across these sickles here. So, actually, I can't remember what the difference between those are called. If there's any farmers out there who know their jargon better than I do, please chime in. So anyway, this part on top is moving back and forth, and this part here is stationary with the machine. So as those go back and forth, that's what makes the cut. These here are an add-on that I just put on here in the last couple weeks because
It's a widget.
A widget, yes.
Any computer science people know what's laughing. Right, go ahead.
I also don't know what these are called either, but I just call them grain lifters. That's something I just randomly made up. They might be called that, I don't know. But they, as you can tell, they extend the encounter spot where the actual standing crop is going to encounter this cutting surface, and they look like fingers because that's what they are. They scoop up underneath the crop and lift it up onto the surface. So the problem with our field was that the grain all came down. It was lodged. And this is a common problem in grain fields, especially with older varieties of grain. So this nifty invention here, which, as you can tell, this is an old invention. Some old farmer thought that they wanted to get their grain off the ground, and they made these. They attach right onto the sickle bar and allow us to harvest grain that's laying down, or at least some portion of the grain that's laying down.
One sec, I saw that you guys were answering each other's questions, which I love. Nick is asking about the weeds. Ian Pritchard is saying, what's the name of the drought-resistant grass? She said it was Japanese. Oh, and Aislinn answered Kurapia.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Thanks, Aislinn. So someone's asking about weeds. I'm presuming the question is, aren't we getting weeds into our oat harvest? Is that right?
We can answer that question, whether they can clarify it in some other portion, and that is an important part. The grasses in general, and things like wheat, oats, spelt, rye, they all grow really fast. So there's gonna be very little weed pressure in a well planted grain field. Most of them are going to be shaded out by the grasses themselves, by our crop. And that's even more true in a polycrop field, because more of the light catching niches are covered by different species. So and you can have a cover crop field like this that has almost zero light hitting the ground, or it seems that way, and basically no weeds. And this one had very little weeds. Weeds are a problem if you do get some things like mustard, thistle. Those can all cause problems in a grain harvest. Like I said, they're generally not a problem. They're usually limited to the exterior components of the field, or if there's some other problems with the excuse me, with the crop actually growing properly, then you could have some weed problems too, weed pressure. But generally, we'll get into like how this machine handles non-target crops. It takes care of the weeds itself, basically.
Watch your head.
Okay.
And we're gonna move to the next part. While we're moving, does anyone have any queries or comments? Yeah, we can go to the next thing on our tour here. And actually, I should have told you guys that Bekki has not used. Hi, Bekki. Bekki has not used this harvester before, so she was willing to be our helper today. And Nate's actually going to show her how to operate it, which is kind of like driving a car. But those of you who don't know how this thing works are not alone, because Bekki and I don't totally know how it works. So the idea is we're all learning together. All right, where are we going?
Go around the side.
Okay.
This is an older combine, so there's very little hydraulically powered components on it. Most of it, as you can see on the side here, is just like a whole bunch of Rube Goldberg belts just going all different directions. And this is why, like, you know, it's famous for farmers to, like, you know, be missing digits and limbs and stuff like that, because, you know, if you get too close to this stuff, then it wants to, like, take you up into its bowels and digest you. So we'll stay away. We'll give it its space.
Don't call OSHA.
Right. So yeah, the motor's up here. This right here is the main drive shaft of the motor. As you can see, there's a whole web of belts coming off of it, and these operate all the different parts of the machine. This one, I think, is our main threshing cylinder right here. Don't quote me on that. These here are hydraulic pump, and we could follow all these to their logical conclusion. And if you're planning on getting a combine, which I would encourage you to do, it actually, all of this stuff can be intimidating first when you first look at it, but it's really awesome for fixing things. If things break down, which they do and they will, it's really easy to figure out where everything goes, because it's just right here on the outside of the machine and everything can be fixed. Usually just with lots of space and just a little bit of kind of logical deduction.
All right.
Next.
Cool. Yeah. What's next? Oh wait, any questions?
Yeah.
In chat or verbally? Nothing? All right, next thing.
Okay. So
yeah, what's in there, Bekki?
Oh yeah. Let's just
open her up.
Investigate the toolbox.
Not much. No tools.
Oh,
you overpaid.
What? This is the best part of it. What are you talking about?
What are these for?
This is for your Muppet show, like midway through this.
No. I think there's parts you have to attach up there. Listen to your wife.
Yeah, you're right. These are important.
This is what happens when you say, "Oh, these are Muppets," and you throw them away, and then things explode.
We'll hold on to these. These will come into it later.
Okay.
So this combine. So a combine is called a combine because it combines a bunch of operations. It used to be that the sickle bar was an individual machine, and you would drive it through the field and cut everything down. And then you would take a thresher, which I point to this thing right here, the threshing cylinder. You take a thresher and you'd throw all the hay, all the straws while you're cutting, and they would go through the thresher. And then in the back part of the combine are the separators, where you're actually cleaning things, the cleaner. And that was also a separate machine. Was the cleaner. But the combine puts those three together: the sickle bar mower, the threshing component, and all of the cleaning components. So it made it so you could just drive one machine through the field. It's a lot faster, a lot easier. So this particular combine, the cleaning component is different than other combines I've used before, so I'm still trying to figure out exactly how those work. It's mostly driven by a big blower right here, so it's an aspirated style cleaning device.
Get closer in there.
Yeah, once you get it close up there. So this just spins around. It's just a big fan, is all it is. And you can adjust. This right here is called the the iris. So these things kind of scoot back and let a different amount of air through here. So you can adjust how fast the air is flowing across your product, and that's going to separate out the product by density. So you're getting it's a density cleaner. Other combines use little screens, so it's actually cleaning by density with the air, with the aspiration, but it's also cleaning by the size and shape of whatever product you want. So
Bekki, do you have any questions? Because
Yeah.
you're learning how to operate this thing, so like I don't want to.
No, not really. Other than how do you know when you're driving it if all the parts are working?
That's a great question.
that is a great question.
Because I mean, I'm going to be up there somewhere. How can you tell?
Yeah. There's a couple things you can. I mean, the end result is that there's cleaned grain coming into the hopper, which will be up there in a moment. So when you're driving, you look over your shoulder, you can see right behind you a bunch of clean grain like coming and filling up the hopper. And if nothing's coming in, that's a problem. Or if it's coming in really dirty, that's also a problem. So that's kind of your first and best way to tell. But if you really want to calibrate the machine and know that it's operating correctly, it's best to have someone walking behind and checking the output to make sure you're not losing grain out to the back, that the machine isn't accidentally sending your clean grain out with the dirty grain, and just kind of like looking and checking on everything. So that's kind of the only way to really check is with two people. But
Nice.
you can get a pretty good idea with one person. Good question.
Yeah. Does anyone on the call have any queries or suggestions? You want to tell Nate that he made up that iris name? Because if I had Google out, I'd be calling him. All right.
Adam told me it was called an iris. I don't know what it is.
Somebody call Adam.
Adam's the original owner of this machine. Okay.
All right. What's
keep
the next
on walking
thing?
around?
Yeah, next.
Okay. So this is the bum here. I just made that up.
Who's Googling that?
Fact check. This is my favorite part of the machine. This is where all the waste comes out. This straw right here, trash, residue, whatever you want to call it. And you can see this stuff was like 6-7 feet tall, and now it's chopped up into 6-inch pieces, which is awesome because we can plant into this much easier. You won't gum up a planter, and it can get digested by the soil or residue. So there's actually a chopping device inside that's right here. So it's clean as the straw is getting separated out, it comes out through the bottom, and this big chopper here that turns it into these small pieces. So that's handy for us. Okay.
Cool.
Other basic just parts here. This is the fuel tank. There's oil filter for the air. There's a hydraulic oil tank for all the hydraulics. So check those before we go. The engine.
Artisan Grain Collaborative. What's up, Melissa Hartman?
The Muppets. They go up there. You can see that there's already a.
Where do these go?
Right here. So the Muppets are what holds this thing on right here. This is kind of an aftermarket fix, but this is just a big screen so that when the air comes in, it gets really dusty when you're harvesting. So these things just hold this together. Originally, it probably had something else that held it together, but the Muppets were good too. So.
We're getting a question from Kathy that Kathy's asking us, how much seed falls back in the field, or does it harvest clean?
A lot of seed does come back in the field. I can get out of the sun if that's better.
Yeah.
And it's actually problematic, and I haven't really figured out this part. So if there's other farmers on there who have some ideas about this, because it's dumping out small seed that's like not optimal. It doesn't. The density is lighter, so it gets blown out. Or if you have holes in you're using a screen style cleaner, then it's cleaning those out, so it's just dumping those out into the field of trash. But that's also what you could be potentially reseeding your field with. So you're taking all the good seed, all the good genetics, right? Where's our geneticist?
Oh yeah.
Right. right? So
You're making light for life's work here. Go ahead.
I know, right? But this is like population genetics on a farm scale, right? Come on, you should look at.
Yeah.
I'll put on my mask. The whole 9 yards.
So we lose some seed to the field.
So you lose some seed to the field, and it's not optimal because that's also what's reseeding your field. And that's where all your weed seed is going too. So you have to have, especially in a no-till context, you have to have some way of terminating all that stuff when it comes back up again, as as plants that are trying to grow and be like really small seed and be weeds and be whatever else they are.
Are there other farmers on our call who might chime in on that? Okay, we're here. We're available if you come up with something. All right, what's next, guys?
There's a few little fun parts here that as the operator you can be checking on. These right here are elevators or augers or some way of moving the grain down from the bottom up to the top. So the machine uses gravity to kind of separate things out, down to the bottom. So you have your clean grain down at the bottom, or whatever your target is, down at the bottom. And then it moves along these augers here and then up an elevator right here. So you can actually check to see what's going on there. Stand back. So this here should be clean grain. And as you can see, it's a whole bunch of stuff. There's peas and vetch and maybe some beans in there too somewhere, and a whole bunch of oat seed. So that's good. That's what you want in there. You don't want any mice or straw or other stuff that tends to like collect in those little odd corners. So that's just something that the operator. But
that's not really our. That's
it's not.
It's not where we're going to be using that product, right?
So this auger right here. So like I said, if you buy a combine, you just follow all the tubes, all the windings. It all becomes obvious where everything goes. So this right here is the hopper, straight up above us. That's our finished product. So this elevator is all finished product, and that auger is still finished product. So this thing right here is filled with finished product.
So what's down here is what's in the hopper.
Yep, exactly. So if this is clogged up with something like straw, then that's indicating that the straw is not getting separated out in some previous step.
Great. But then do you send this to the seed cleaner with the vetch in there and stuff? What do you do?
Yeah. So this is all going to go to a seed cleaner, unless I would really love to have a polycrop that we can actually, just eat as it is. But this isn't going to be the case because we knew that these oats. This is not a hull-less oat, so it's a hulled oat. It has hulls on it, and it's something you wouldn't want to eat. You couldn't eat, even if this were clean, quote unquote. You still couldn't eat it because it has to go through a machine to take the hulls off of the oats. So
we don't have any seed cleaners on our call, do we? That would be cool. Sorry, Nate. Go ahead.
Oh, this is interesting. Check this out. There's actually a few of these have been hulled by the machine itself. So like this right here is an oat that you could actually eat. Oh, yeah. Hey, there's a bunch of them. It's maybe like 25% of them are coming out clean out of here, which probably means we're running things a little bit too tight in the threshing cylinder. These probably shouldn't be hulled by the threshing cylinder.
Is that why so many of the peas are broken?
Yeah.
I don't want to try them.
The peas are broken. Okay, that's probably not easy to see on the camera.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of
they're already split.
Let's see if I can get in there. Try it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you guys can see that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got
These
split.
oats are really good. You should